In America, everyone counts, and the 2020 census is how that great promise is kept. Respond today online, by phone, or by mail, and help inform hundreds of billions in funding for education, health programs, and more. Shape your future. Start at 2020census.gov. And look, the game of whiteness is being played, Erica. Attorney General Bill Barr attacked Black Lives Matter in a speech yesterday, saying they don't really care about black lives. He also, of course, had other ridiculous things to say, even when it came to coronavirus, wearing masks, and slavery.
The rule of law is the foundation of civilization, including economic prosperity. And that's why these so-called Black Lives Matter people, now that as a proposition, who can quarrel with the proposition Black Lives Matter? But they're not interested in black lives. They're interested in props. A small number of blacks who were killed by police during conflict with police, usually less than a dozen a year, who they can use as props to achieve a much broader political agenda. But I view the question of black lives as not only keeping people alive, but also having prosperity and flourishing in their communities.
All right, now here's this idiot talking about masks and civil liberties, and he actually invoked slavery.
A national lockdown, stay-at-home orders is like house arrest. It's other than slavery, which was a different kind of restraint, this is the greatest intrusion on civil liberties in American history. Putting a
Interesting,
national lockdown,
Erica. I guess he skipped over 1877 to 1970 when we talk about Jim Crow.
You know, what's amazing to me, Roland, about Bill Barr, as Dr. Carr has named him a toady, when you look at, well, he had that talk that was right across the slave bridge, the Key Bridge in Arlington, Virginia. And to hear him, first of all, say these people, we already know that he's a white ring supremacist who is very much so wedded to the ideologue of that group. So when he says these people, we get that. The other part of it is that Bill Barr is very much so on board with pushing an agenda that destabilizes our democracy and actually takes away the elements of democracy. So that is, in fact, who we're dealing with. We're not dealing with an attorney general. We're dealing with a person who's very much so who is very much said over and over again through many speeches. And here again, he said through this stage in Arlington, Virginia, that he really believes that the country should be ran by the person who is supposed to be charged with protecting us against all enemies, both foreign and domestic, and that would be the occupant of the White House. So, you know, hearing this and hearing him compare, wearing a mask to slavery, when we think about chattel slavery and how it affects and still affects us as Black Americans, and thinking about the trauma that our forefathers and foremothers went through to get to this country, the dehumanization, and then think about the systemic racism that really came out of that cropped up out of that. To hear him compare wearing a mask to that, it makes more sense when we think about those people who stormed state capitals earlier in April, demanding spit out of their mouth, fermenting at police officers. Those folks at the state capitals demanding that the country be reopened. These are the people that he backs and stands with. So this is, for me, all of the more reason for people to actually gear up and get ready. I know that voting begins in Virginia tomorrow, and that's going to be for people who are participating and being able to put their ballots in a secure ballot box. But we've got other cities that are going to be coming up on in-person voting. And as Dr. Carr said, that is what I would encourage people to do. Gear up, get your PPE ready, and get ready to vote.
Greg, look, what you're dealing with here is, this is absolutely, we'll talk a little bit later about Donald Trump's joke of this commission that he announced today because he's so pissed off with the 1619 project. But this is I would dare say, this is the most overt appeal to whiteness since George Wallace. I mean, I really believe that that what Donald Trump and Bill Barr and Stephen Miller and all the people are doing, that they are making an even more overt appeal to whiteness than Ronald Reagan and Lee Atwater. And that's saying a lot.
I would agree with you, Roland. I would say even more so in some ways than George Wallace.
Herbert Hoover, the Lily White a faction of the Republican Party. Right.
That's right. That's right. In fact, you're right, Roland. See, you teaching tonight, brother. That's when the GOP really began to turn toward this white nationalism. It wasn't Barry Goldwater in '64. It's really Herbert Hoover, as you say, with the Lily White Republican. Well, Hoover is a representative of that, but that Lily White Republicanism, where they make the decision in the first quarter of the 20th century, really the first third, right, around the Great Depression, to go for white voters and ignore the black ones. And of course, it takes a long time to deteriorate by the time you get to Goldwater in the 60s. And then eventually Nixon, even Jackie Robinson, who was, a Republican, said, I can't, you people are racist. I mean, so that's exactly right. I love Bill Barr, though. Love his daddy, who was in the OSS. In other words, his father cut his eye teeth in Donald Barr in this idea of surveillance and state power and state authority, even though his father was a headmaster at a school there in New York. The reason I love Bill Barr is because he's not pretending anymore. You saw him waddle in his seat a little bit when he started getting a little comfortable. He waddled in there and then he said, the thing these people in their neighborhoods. Man, I don't give a damn what you think about me. See, you've made a mistake. You and your little friend, Stephen Miller, and your other buddy, Donald Trump, and Smiling Mike Pence. Here's the mistake you've made. You assume because we live in the same country, we share the same values. They've overplayed their hand by dropping all pretenses. They are determined to ride this white nationalist terror ride until the wheels fall off. But here's the mistake they made. They think that the lug nuts on those wheels are a lot tighter than they are, in fact. And this is why we have to break their political backs. This is not the time to quibble over whether Harris and Biden are the perfect candidates. No. This is the time to recognize that you've got a Klansman sitting on a stage talking about you as if you're not part of his country, because you are not part of his country in their neighborhoods. What the hell is this? What are we still got restrictive covenants in the He's not the Attorney General of the United States. He's a thug, waddling toady for a white nationalist who's president of the United States, and he is committed to one thing and one thing only for the last 6 months and leading up for the next few days. The re-election of his man, so they can really show you what they're about. If you don't vote, we're going to see what it is in a minute, because this man right here is a white nationalist terrorist.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Unfiltered. They have these virtual reality headsets you see right there in the video there, folks. You can place your cell phone right in, watch the virtual reality content on Seek.com or other 360-degree video you can also listen to, of course, with 360-degree 4D headphones, which is great for gaming, video, audio, you name it. If you want to get either one of these, go to Seek.com, CEEK.com, CEEK.com. Use the promo code RMVIP2020, RMVIP2020, and do so. And so we certainly appreciate them being a supporter of us right here at Roland Martin Unfiltered.